Thank you for joining us today for the Conform to Christ podcast, where we seek to engage the mind, affect the heart, and call people to follow Christ. I'm Jay Jones, and I'm here with Georgia Mays. It's Text Driven Tuesday. Well, first episode back since Christmas. Did you have a nice Christmas?
It was good.
Good.
Yeah,
Very
went
good.
to the in-laws and had a good time.
We had a nice summer Christmas this year, didn't we?
Yeah, it was. It did not feel like Christmas.
Was it 88 the day after Christmas?
I don't know. It was
like
hot.
80 on Christmas.
Yeah, it was hot.
Yeah.
Well, you had a wedding, and then you had Christmas. Are you okay?
I'm getting there. Yeah, I'm getting there.
You recovered?
And I got another wedding coming up.
You got another wedding coming up this week.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything for.
I don't have to do anything but walk in with Angie. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything with the guy.
Mm-hmm. It was a good time though. It was a good little few days.
It was a great wedding.
Yeah. It was wonderful. In our church. Yeah.
First wedding we've had here. We had a small one a few years ago. Well, that's probably been more than a few years ago. That's probably been 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
It's like maybe our first, is it our first like kid that has been here in the church?
Yes.
And then got married?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome. The church really came out big time for Brooke.
Yeah.
And her wedding. It was great. I don't really know how people do this stuff without churches. Angie and I were thinking about that.
Yeah.
Like it would just be awful. Like it would be too much stuff going on to even get any enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, you'd have to hire like a wedding planner.
Yeah.
You'd have to hire someone that like this is what they do.
Yeah.
And they know, all right, we got to get the flowers, we got to get the caterer, we got to do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was huge.
Yeah, doing it by yourself, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, they turned our little fellowship hall into a little magical ballroom.
Yeah, it looked great.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it looked fantastic.
Philip did wonderful.
I thought, why don't we just keep it? Why don't we just keep it looking like this?
Yeah, I thought so too.
But it's
like
back.
it. It's back.
It's back.
Yeah. It looked great. But no, it was good. It was good. Good Christmas. Very happy for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It was it's a strange feeling. You'll find out, George.
I'll bet.
You'll find out. It's coming for you before you know it.
Yeah.
Yep. So well, what else?
I can't get my computer to work the way I want. Is that noteworthy?
That's like every day in here on our podcast, yeah.
Yeah.
But you did have a funny video you wanted to show.
I wanted to show it, and I can't. It's
the thought that counts,
everything
George.
works fine. You plug in the cords the way that they're supposed to work, and it just doesn't work.
But it's the thought.
I know that I've played videos from this computer before.
It has happened.
With these two cords. I just don't know what the problem is. Oh, well. Yeah, it was a video. You can look this. It's on X, which I still have a hard time calling it X. It will always be Twitter right here.
Yeah.
You can look at Protestia's Twitter page, and it's a video of pastor of All Souls Church in Langham Place, England. He is suspended from the ceiling, dressed like Superman, and he's being pushed around, throwing candy to kids, talking about how Jesus is better than Superman. That by itself is dumb.
Hey,
but what was noteworthy is that this is the church that John Stott pastored.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw this morning, and the first thing I thought was it only takes a couple of generations for a healthy church with solid theology to turn into a pastor swinging around on cables, talking about how Jesus is better than Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a little discouraging because I was thinking about our church. I was thinking it's I don't think we treat apostasy as seriously as we should.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not the way that Hebrews treats it. Like, it's easy for us to drift away.
Yeah.
We don't drift into holiness. Holiness is a fight. You have to fight for holiness. Apostasy,
Yeah.
You
It's just a slide.
you can slide. Yeah, you can
Not even
slide
a
away.
fast slide.
Right.
A slow slide.
Yeah. John Stott was, when did he die? He died it hasn't been a long time ago. We've been alive. I was in seminary when he died.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So it had to have been
seminary.
2010, 2011, something like that. So it hasn't even been. I don't know when he stepped down from being pastor of this church.
You want to hear a funny story?
But
About maybe the slide started earlier than we think.
maybe.
So, hear the story. Is it true? We'll never know. But I kind of think it is true. So apparently, Sproul and MacArthur and John Stott and a few other of those guys that were, I think they were involved in drafting that statement.
The Catholic, or the inerrancy. Which one are you talking about?
I think this one's the Catholic one.
The Catholic one. Okay. The Protestant. What was that? What was that called? There was a big controversy.
Yeah.
In what, the 70s, 80s, something like that.
Apparently, John Stott is pushing for some type of ecumenicism with Rome.
Along with Packer. Chuck Colson. Chuck Colson.
Yeah.
Chuck Colson was on that side too.
So apparently our ORC took a break from dragging on his cig, jumped up on the table, turned around, stuck his butt out, pointed at it and said, "You can kiss my if you think we're going back to Rome."
Every time I hear that story, there's more embellishment than I've heard before.
Yeah.
I heard of them jumping on the table.
Yeah. No, that's what I
Okay.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was Chuck Colson, Packer, Stott on one side, MacArthur, Sproul, who was the guy down in Florida? I don't remember.
Probably the guy who started these rumors.
That's the guy who was right before.
Tim out Coral Ridge.
Yes.
Pastor. Yeah, guy who started Evangelism Explosion.
Yeah, that's really frustrating.
His church didn't go well after he left either.
That's really.
You know what? They hired old Tullian.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the tool. The kids won't get that reference, George.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I don't think they use that lingo anymore. They probably
Really?
have some lame thing that stands in for it now.
D. James Kennedy.
There you go.
D. James Kennedy.
Yeah. So yeah, we got to come up with some ways for our church. Hopefully, it won't happen. So we're talking about a couple proposals on the table. Yeah, there's the probably better approach that you suggested.
Yeah,
my approach was probably not gonna work.
Never die.
Yeah, mine was like that. The men have to. Men of the church have to get branded and swear a blood oath and call a curse on their family.
We're talking about self-maledictory oaths today.
Yeah. That if after we're gone and we die, they let the church slide, then death upon their house.
Yeah.
But I don't think that'll go over. So you proposed that we remake. Well, we have like a elder statement of faith. Like, what must the elders profess to be an elder at this church? It's different from, so like anyone could join our church. You don't have to be a Calvinist to join our church, but to be a pastor, you do, right? So putting that and then putting in our Constitution.
And making it official.
Make it official where the church cannot hire
Mm-hmm.
any pastor that does not hold to the same beliefs.
Right now, an elder candidate has to fill out a huge packet. It has to answer all these theological questions.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even know how many questions
They're probably
are. There's a lot.
I think there's 12 packets, and there's probably around 10 questions on each packet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to sit down and do it.
Right. And then the other elders have to go through it.
They read it. Ask them questions.
Ask questions and affirm them. But it's not official.
Right.
So we're looking at doing something that's official.
Get in the Constitution,
Yeah. Safeguard the church in the future because we aren't going to be here forever. And it doesn't take long for a church to, even a healthy church, to slide.
How long do you think you'll go? I think I can make it to 70.
You think you can make it to 70?
Yeah, I think. We'll see. I don't know. With Wayne, we were around burn pits and weird stuff. So
right.
I'll probably get lung cancer in like 5 years. So you better be ready.
Yeah, I don't know.
Better be ready for that. I don't know. You just never know. You never know what's happening.
I live in Lawton. I could get hit by someone running a red light. Who knows?
You could.
I just don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
Someone could throw a rock through a window and hit me in the head. You just don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. It is. That's pretty sad though. John Stott's church.
Yeah. I mean, he had his flaws, but he was a brother.
What's his most famous book?
Cross of Christ, I think, is his most famous book.
Mm-hmm.
Though he had one on. He had one on like being a disciple or something. That I think is also I don't remember what that one's called.
Yeah, Lloyd Jones's church, same thing. Let's not get depressed. It's already Monday. What are we doing?
But Spurgeon's church went through some hard times. They kind of slid, but now they're back.
They bounced back.
Yeah. So it's God is faithful, even when we're unfaithful. And even if one particular church slides into apostasy, God will always have his people.
Yeah.
And we like to gauge the strength of Christianity on America or Great Britain. But there's Christianity around the world, and I imagine that the churches in China are probably a lot stronger than
they probably are
than most of the churches here. So
yeah.
God is faithful, and he will accomplish his purposes. So we don't have to be discouraged by that, but we do. But we don't. We also don't want that to cause us to become lazy.
True.
Right.
Very true. These were deep thoughts. Which coincidentally is how you started your sermon.
That was a primo transition.
Yeah.
That was excellent. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Started this sermon on Genesis 15. We're looking at the whole chapter. You want to go there? Talking about deep thought. And this comes from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Very, very interesting. So they
have you read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Mm-mm.
It might be a little absurd for you.
Yeah.
It's sci-fi, and I know you like sci-fi stuff, but it is...
It's really sci-fi?
Well, it's...
I think this is Elon Musk's favorite book.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Which does make sense.
That's not super surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this deep thought computer takes millions of years to come up with like the ultimate answer to everything.
To life, the universe, and everything.
Yeah. And it spits out.
Yeah, you got the big day. Like obviously the scientists that built deep thought are not still alive to hear the answer, and so you could think of generation after generation anticipating this answer, and then the day finally comes when deep thought is going to give the answer to life, the universe, and everything. And so it's a big ceremony, and they come and they talk to it, and deep thought gives the answer.
And it's 42.
It's 42, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the answer to life, the universe, and everything is 42.
Who knew Jackie Robinson was the...
Yeah, that's right.
Who knew it was all about him?
Yeah. And so, I mean, obviously, the scientists are like, this doesn't make any sense. You're telling us that the meaning of life is 42? And Deep Thought tells them, I think the problem is that you've never known the right question to ask. And so Deep Thought is going to build a new supercomputer even better than Deep Thought, and it's going to spit out the question to life, the universe, and everything, so that 42 will make sense.
Yeah.
Now, what I didn't bring out in the sermon was that this new supercomputer that's going to take 10 million years to come up with the question. This new supercomputer is Earth. And so they build Earth. But before Earth can complete its task, it's wiped out to make way for a cosmic superhighway.
Okay. So they never get it.
No.
They never get it, man.
Yeah. So the whole point, because it's really stupid, right?
Mhm.
I mean, this is absurd, and it's supposed to be absurd. I mean, Douglas Adams, he was writing this kind of absurdist, satirical sci-fi. So if you're looking for serious science fiction, maybe stay away from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy collection. Go, read something else. But if you're like, I want to read something that will tickle my stupid bone, then that's the one to go to. But that's the point, because Douglas Adams was a hardcore atheist, like not agnostic. Like he was certain there is no God, and he let people know. Like, I mean, he was very adamant about it. And his whole point with Deep Thought and the answer of 42 is that he was making fun of humanity for always asking these kind of questions, always asking these ultimate questions, like what's the meaning to life? He said, if there even is an answer, it's probably so absurd that it wouldn't make any sense, because he doesn't think that there is a singular meaning.
You're right.
So he's at least being consistent as an atheist.
I think you think, like, why is humanity even ask these questions?
Right. Yeah. I mean, Douglas Adams may think that it's absurd to even ask the question, but for millennia, that hasn't stopped humanity from asking these questions. I mean, everyone's asking these questions. Even atheists are asking these questions, maybe not on a cosmic level, but in a personal level. Like, what am I doing here? It's hard to find like this consistent nihilist who says everything's absurd, nothing has any meaning, including my own life, so I'm just going to do whatever I want.
Yeah. Or,
I mean, the more consistent nihilist would be, I'm just off myself. What's even the purpose of going through a life of pain and toil?
Right.
If I came from stardust, I'm going to stardust. Who cares?
Yeah.
But you can't. I mean, it's hard to find. I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure there's the psychopaths that are like this. But in general, you're surrounded by people who are asking these questions, like what's the purpose of my life? Even if they say I'm creating my own purpose,
but why?
Why? Yeah,
but why?
Like, I'm trying to make the world a better place. I want it to be better after I die. Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. We've always been asking these questions, these deep questions. Like, I think one of the biggest ones is like, why is there something rather than nothing? This is the one that, is it escapable for even the most hardcore atheist?
Right.
Why is there something rather than nothing? So, yeah. So today we're looking at, as we come to 15, some really big questions. Eternity shaping questions, you call them. Two eternity shaping questions everyone must answer.
Yeah. And we've been, since we started Genesis, we've been asking these questions. I started off the series by saying all of these questions of who am I, where did I come from, is there a God, is there a purpose, what's wrong with the world, how can it be fixed? All of these big questions that people are asking are all answered in Genesis, and a lot of them are answered in the first 3 chapters. I mean, the Bible doesn't even give an apologetic for the existence of God. Moses simply says, in the beginning, God. He just assumes that there is a God, he exists. Where do we come from? What's the meaning of life? Well, we are his creation. He created us in his image. Our purpose is to reflect him, is to reflect his glory.
And it's so self-evident. I mean, this is why it starts in the beginning, God,
right?
Because God is so self-evident in humanity that it's like everyone is already hardwired to know this truth.
Yeah.
Alvin Plantinga, for those interested, has an interesting argument for God's existence based on insanity. That those that do not believe in God have a form of insanity. Not to remove an excuse from them, but what he's saying is, as a human are not functioning properly.
Yeah,
because it's so self-evident.
I mean, he didn't get that from himself. Solomon says that, right, in Ecclesiastes.
Yeah.
Madness is in the heart of men.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's a very interesting take.
Right.
So, anyway, 2 eternity-shaping questions today. You've been working through the big ones. There is a God. We're here because he made everything. We have a unique place in the universe. We're made in God's image and his likeness. Why is the world in the shape that it's in? We see this in chapter 3. But we also get an answer to what is God doing with this fallen world and these promises that God has been making. I've kind of launched us into answering all of these big questions in Genesis before we even venture out into any other books. And we come to 2 big ones today. Really the biggest ones I think anybody can ask. I was thinking about that as you're preaching it. Like, these are really the 2 foundational questions.
And I didn't bring this up, and I it's always, you always got you have the Monday morning quarterback, you got the Monday morning pastor also.
Right.
And really what's happening is we're being brought back to the garden. We saw this in Genesis chapter 12. Adam and Eve went to the east. Abram is coming to the west, right? They had to leave the presence of God. Abram is essentially going into this promised land where God is he's going to be there in a special presence. And now these questions that we're asking are really Genesis 3. Like, will you trust God? I mean, that's the question that Eve is. That's the underlying question that's lying behind the temptation of the serpent. Did God really say? And the question really is, he's not asking that question, but that's what's behind it. Will you trust God? Like, will you believe what God has said? Will you believe his word? So Abram really is taking part in this conflict that's been going on since Genesis chapter 3. And so that's kind of everything that's gone before has been leading us here, and it sets the foundation, kind of the stage for what Abram is doing.
It's a big vastly important, this chapter in the Bible. Can't overstate its importance.
No, and I almost wish I would have split it up a little bit more. You want to get it together, though.
Yeah.
I think if you weren't going through Romans, I probably would have split it up. But since you have been going through Romans, we've already got kind of that. You've already brought us to Genesis 15 from Romans. So I was like, all right, I just want to take it all together, even though there's a lot.
Right.
I mean, it's packed, and foundational theology for Christianity is found in this chapter. So I'm glad that we're doing Romans and Genesis together, because the Pauline theology is feeding into the narrative of Genesis.
What if his theology is Abrahamic?
That's right.
You got it all wrong.
It's Abrahamic. It's I mean, it's even Mosaic. I mean, Moses is writing this.
Yeah.
I mean, verse 6, if I'm interpreting it right, is more of a Moses interlude.
Nice.
So
yeah, like a Moses is inserting.
He's inserting his his theology.
Right.
Like he's saying, look, this is what's going on.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I like that. Well, let's jump into these questions. 2 eternity-shaping questions everyone must answer, and that means you that are listening.
You want me to read the passage?
Yeah, indeed I do.
Okay. All right. So we can get everyone on the same page.
Let's do it.
All right, Genesis 15. We're taking the whole thing all at once. 21 verses, lots of stuff packed into it.
Mm.
All right. After these things, the word of Yahweh came to Abram in a vision. Fear not, Abram, I am your shield. Your reward shall be very great. But Abram said, O Lord Yahweh, what will you give me? For I continue childless, and the heir of my house is Eleazar of Damascus. And Abram said, Behold, you have given me no offspring, and a member of my household will be my heir. And behold, the word of Yahweh came to him, This man shall not be your heir, your very own son shall be your heir. And he brought him outside and said, Look toward heaven, and number the stars, if you are able to number them. Then he said to him, So shall your offspring be. And he believed Yahweh, and he counted it to him as righteousness. And he said to him, I am Yahweh, who brought you out from Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land to possess. But he said, O Lord Yahweh, how am I to know that I shall possess it? He said to him, Bring me a heifer 3 years old, a female goat 3 years old, a ram 3 years old, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he brought him all these, cut them in half, and laid each half over against the other. But he did not cut the birds in half. And when birds of prey came down on the carcasses, Abram drove them away. As the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell on Abram, and behold, dreadful and great darkness fell upon him. Then Yahweh said to Abram, Know for certain that your offspring will be sojourners in a land that is not theirs, and will be servants there, and they will be afflicted for 400 years. But I will bring judgment on the nation that they serve, and afterward they shall come out with great possessions. As for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried in a good old age, and they shall come back here in the 4th generation, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete. When the sun had gone down and it was dark, behold, a smoking firepot and a flaming torch passed between these pieces. On that day Yahweh made a covenant with Abram, saying, To your offspring I give this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates, the land of the Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Cadmonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaim, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites.
There you go. First question. Eternity shaping. Do I trust God? Show us how this is kind of broken down into 2 disputes, or there's 2 conversations being had within this bigger section.
Yeah.
1 to 6, 7 through 21.
Yeah.
2 disputes. They're questions. Abraham begins asking these questions. And I like how you brought out there is a difference in asking questions and like doubtfully questioning. You know what I mean?
There's 2 ways of asking questions. There's one that's in unbelief.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost right.
Right, like his wife's going to do here in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking of
she's going to laugh.
I was thinking of Zechariah in Luke chapter 1. Like Gabriel comes and he says, Your wife is going to have a son.
Mm-hmm.
And Zechariah, who's old, and his wife is old and barren.
Yes.
I mean,
it's very similar.
Very similar. And he says, How will this be? And Gabriel says, I'm Gabriel. I stand before God, and you're not believing me. You're not going to talk until this happens. Mary says the same thing, similar. When Gabriel comes and says you're going to have a baby, and she's like, "How will this be? I'm a virgin." And he doesn't rebuke her,
right.
So you could see that Zechariah is like, "Come on, who are we kidding here?" Mary is asking in faith. Like we see those, they're meant, I think, in Luke, meant to be viewed together. His response and her response are supposed to be viewed together. He's more incredulous. She's more, I believe, but help me here. I don't quite understand because I'm a virgin.
Right.
Zechariah should have been like, oh, God's done this.
He's done it before.
God's done this plenty of times in the past
with old people.
With old people, yeah, with barren people, yeah. So there's two different ways that we can ask. We can ask in kind of that incredulity, like, yeah, right. And there's the I believe, help my unbelief, like the Father at the foot of the Mount of Transfiguration says. And Abram is asking in belief.
Yeah,
like he believes. Help me.
Yes,
help me. I'm weak. Help me. Help my faith. My faith is weak. Help me.
Plus, he's already been walking in faith for a while.
Oh yeah.
So
this is not the first time that he's exhibited belief.
Yeah. So he's been going on for a number of years, and so now the question is, okay, like I'm very old. My wife is very old.
Right.
Like how are you going to do it? Not saying you're not going to, but help me understand
and
how
when.
This is
and when, because God's given. I mean, we've been seeing obstacles, and we should view this in that line of obstacles. Chapter 12, he's his own obstacle. He takes Sarah down to Egypt because he's afraid, and he almost loses her, except God rescues them.
Mm-hmm.
Lot is the obstacle in chapter 13. The warring Gentiles, Kedorlaomer and his army is an obstacle in 14. The king of Sodom is another obstacle in 14. And now here's this obstacle. God, you've given me these promises. How long, O Lord?
Mm-hmm.
When is this going to happen? Because we don't know exactly the time frame between 12 through 14 and 15, but we know there's been some time.
Mm-hmm.
And we know after 15 there's going to be more time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is going to be like 6 more chapters before Isaac is born.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 25 more years at least before the promises start to come true. Abram's biological clock is still ticking. Like, they're not getting younger. Time's not standing still for them. Him and Sarai are just going to keep getting older. And so he's asking God, I believe, help me. I'm weak. I'm weak. I think this is a posture we need to have. Like, I believe, but I also recognize I'm weak. And if God, you don't buttress my faith, I'll fail. Right.
Yeah.
I think we can become arrogant as if we're generating faith within ourselves. We are, if left to ourselves, we will fall away. And this is what we were talking about with these churches. Within a generation or two, you can have previously faithful, solid churches that apostatize. And I think it's because we become so arrogant in our faith that we forget just how weak we are.
Mm-hmm.
But Abram, he doesn't forget that.
Yeah.
He recognizes this. And so we have these two conversations, disputes, controversies. We see this in Habakkuk. When you preach through Habakkuk, we saw the same kind of controversy. Mm-hmm. The prophet is asking God, are you going to do anything? And God answers, mm-hmm. and then the prophet responds. Mm-hmm. Well, we see the same thing here with this conversation. We see Yahweh comes and he speaks to Abram, and he gives a statement. Fear not, I am your shield. Your reward will be very great. I am Yahweh who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans. Mm-hmm. So you have these statements. Then Abram responds with a question. How will I know? What will you give me? Not presumptuous questions. God's already said, I'm going to give you a son. Abram is simply asking a question. When?
Right.
Are you really going to give this to me? And then Yahweh responds with a promise. He'll take him out to, and Abram responds. He calls Yahweh Lord Yahweh in both sections. So we've got these. We're supposed to view them as two separate conversations. Some people even think these may have been divided into two separate times. We don't know. I mean, Moses is putting them together. We should just look at it together. Yahweh responds with a promise. Go outside, look at the stars, count them if you can. So shall your offspring be. Or bring me a 3-year-old heifer, a 3-year-old goat, 3-year-old ram, some birds. And then Abram responds with faith. Verse 6, he believes Yahweh. Later on, he it's not as explicit, but he does what Yahweh tells him to do. He goes and gets the animals, which is faith. And so you've got these two controversies, these two disputes and conversations that are going on. Both of them are following the same pattern. And it's really answering these two questions. Do I trust God? Does Abram trust God? Is God trustworthy?
Mm.
So these are two interrelated questions that we have to answer. Everyone's got to answer these. And so we're going to follow Abram, the father of our faith. We're going to see what he does so that we will follow him also.
Right. So he asks this first question. He's like, I don't have an heir. This guy who's not even my relative, he's my heir. So how is this going to happen? What are you going to do? And God gives him this promise. God speaks to him in verses 4 through 5. And he promises him he will give him a son, which, as you mentioned, it is still some time to go before we get there, but it is a promise that God makes him.
Yeah.
And that his descendants will be greater than the stars that he can number. And that would really be something to see back then. There are still places probably you can go on Earth to see something like this.
You can Google, like, what does the night sky look like over there?
Yeah.
And like out in the desert.
Yeah. And you can see it.
And you can see the
Milky
Milky
Way.
Way.
Yeah.
Man, it's the stars are so clustered together that you
can't even count.
You can't count them because how many stars are there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I looked up at the night sky in Edmond a few days ago, and I was like, I think I could count these stars. Like, you can't see very many because of all the light pollution.
Yeah,
but you go over there, night sky, no light pollution, you're gonna see it all, and it's. The light from the stars and the moon would have been so much that I read it would even cast like a faint shadow because there's so much light from the stars.
Right.
That's not our experience of looking up at the night sky, just because there's so many other competing lights. But now, or back then, like, look at the stars. Yeah, there's thousands upon thousands, innumerable.
Yeah. And then he went back to the campfire and he penned the words to Father Abraham. In faith. Had many sons.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The origins of that song.
So God makes this promise to him concerning his descendants that it will take place. And he believed Yahweh. So the text says, and he believed Yahweh, and he counted it to him as righteousness. Verse 6, huge verse in the Bible.
Yeah, this is maybe the verse of the Bible. Like, if you're wondering, like, what is like the verse? I don't know. It'd be hard to find one that's more central to New Testament theology than verse 6. So you've got God coming to Abram, the word of Yahweh, and this is significant, I think, for two reasons. The first is this is taking us back to Genesis 3. Did God really say? Like, the word of Yahweh is, I mean, this is central to the entire Bible. In Genesis chapter 1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and voidless, and darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of Yahweh hovered over the face of the waters. And God said, like, the very beginning of your Bible, the word of Yahweh is his creative power. Like, here is our sovereign God, that he doesn't have to, like, wave his hands. He doesn't have to, say some kind of magic words. He just speaks, and the universe leaps into existence. And he creates by the word of his power. He upholds the universe by the word of his power. We read in Hebrews. But then in Genesis 2, he gives to Adam a word. Don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. On the day you eat of it, you shall surely die. And when the serpent comes, his attack is aimed at the word of God. Mm-hmm. Did God really say?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the heart of the battle is with God's word. And so it's significant that the word of Yahweh comes to Abram and speaks to him, because Abram is now going to experience the same kind of temptation. Am I going to believe what God says?
Mm-hmm.
But the second thing that's significant is that the word of Yahweh comes to Abram in a vision. Mm-hmm. And so you've got this word, and we think of something audible, but it comes to Abram in a visual.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way we can make sense of this is to go to the New Testament, where in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So, and we'll look at this next week with Christ in the Old Testament. I think that the Word of Yahweh here is the second person of the Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
So the Son of God comes to Abram in a visual way. Like he's talking to someone. He's not just hearing a voice. He's talking to someone who's speaking to him these words, and Abram is going to have to make a decision.
Right.
And this is prophetic. I mean, this is the word of Yahweh coming to someone. This is a common prophetic event. I mean, we see it in all these Old Testament prophets. Right. And my contention would be the same, that he's coming to them in the person of the Son. That's how Yahweh speaks to his prophets, is he speaks to them through his Son, which has New Testament implications.
Mm-hmm.
And he's speaking to him. I'll be your shield. Your reward shall be very great. Abram says, Eliezer of Damascus is my heir. There's a play on words between heir and Damascus. They sound similar. We don't know who Eliezer of Damascus is. He could be the servant from 24 that he's going to send to find a wife for Isaac. We just don't know. We do know that he's maybe an adopted son. We just don't know. But he's not biological, and he is not who Abram is looking for in the promises of God. And so Yahweh says, this one will not be your heir, but one from your own body will be your heir. And he takes him outside, shows him the stars, says, count them if you possibly can. So shall your offspring be. This ties us back to chapter 13, where he tells them that his offspring is going to be as numerous as the sand. Like if you can count the dust of the earth, you can count your offspring. And then verse 6 is this mountaintop. Like this is the peak, right? Abram believes Yahweh, and Yahweh counts it to him as righteousness. And the grammar of the verse is such that we're not supposed to necessarily read this as chronological. Like Yahweh shows him the stars, tells him to count it, and then I don't like how the LSB. This is a place where I don't like the LSB translation, because it says then Abram believed. But it's in the perfect tense, with a, I don't know how much you remember of your Hebrew, a vav, which is like an and.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he was believing, or now he was believing. And it's like a parenthesis that Moses steps in for a second, and he reminds us, now Abram has been believing Yahweh, and he will continue to believe Yahweh. That's what the perfect tense is. It's something in the past that's ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
So we see when he leaves Ur of the Chaldeans in chapter 12, Hebrews chapter 11 says it's by faith.
Right.
So this is not the moment when Abram starts believing. He's been believing since chapter 12.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 12 verse 4. He's been believing. and he will keep on believing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's more of the statement of, hey, remember, Abram's believing this stuff, and he's been believing it. Like back in 13, Yahweh gave him the same promise with just a different visual, like the dust of the earth. Abram's believing him.
Yeah.
And this is more than just intellectual. This is not just Abram filing this away in things that Yahweh's told me. And there's a difference, because you can have a bunch of facts that are stored in your brain. You can even nod your head and be like, yes, I agree with that. But unless you actually grab hold of it, unless it actually affects the way that you live, it's not true saving faith.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you think I grabbed people's attention with my my illustration?
Which one?
The pew.
Oh yeah.
Calling people out in the back.
Yes.
Hey, you back there.
Yeah, faith in the pew. You came in and had faith in the pew. Yeah.
That was my subtle way of trying to get people to move to the front. Because you can look at a pew or a chair, and you can say, that looks like it will support me. Now with those pews, it's a little shaky. You know, like, okay, whatever you say. But unless you actually sit in it and put your weight on it, unless your assent affects the way you live, you don't have actual faith.
Mm-hmm.
If Abram had heard these things and then it didn't affect the way he lived, then it would show he didn't have actual faith.
Uh-huh.
He wasn't actually believing God. And this will play out in the rest of Abraham's story.
Mm-hmm.
Even the next chapter, with chapter 16, right? The next big obstacle is, well, God promised that one from my own body will be my son, but he didn't say anything about Sarai.
Right.
That doesn't come until later.
Uh-huh.
So even 16 is still him. I mean, again, he's going to take things into his own hands. He's going to listen to his wife, which lots of stuff going on there. But he's believing. It's still affecting the way he lives.
Mm-hmm.
17 will affect the way he lives. 18, 21, 22 all demonstrate that he has true saving faith, because it affects the way he lives. He's actually taking hold of the promises.
Right.
And that's what true saving faith is. Because there's a lot of kids at our church that have grown up in church, grown up in Sunday school. Their parents even teach them the Bible at home. They've been catechized. They know all this stuff. They could nod their head and say, yes, I believe Jesus died on the cross for sin. I believe he rose from the dead. But they haven't actually taken hold of it. It hasn't actually gripped their heart. It's not changing the way that they live. And so they've got facts, and they've got even agreement, but they don't actually have saving faith yet. But Abram, he has been believing Yahweh, and he's going to keep believing Yahweh. He's going to grab hold of these promises, and it's going to affect the way he lives in a real way. And that's saving faith.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Yeah.
And it's not a one-time event.
Mm-hmm.
It's ongoing.
Yeah.
Saving faith, it perseveres. The word that's translated here as believed is a verb. The noun form of this word is found in 2 Kings chapter 18, and there it's used of the doorpost of the temple. And so that gives us kind of an understanding of what believing is. It's not a one-time thing. It's not jumping around from one thing to another. It's like a doorpost, it's like a pillar. Like the pillar of the temple, it was there yesterday. If I go to the temple today, yeah, the pillar's still going to be there.
Yeah.
Right. And it undergirds, like it holds up the whole building. Like this is foundational. It's holding up everything. It's steady. It doesn't move. It doesn't wobble. That's what true saving faith is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you showed how this verse is connected into Romans, right? This is a key component to the whole argument. Where Paul is laying out salvation is by faith alone.
Right.
That and it's apart from works. It's apart from keeping the law. It's apart from even circumcision.
The chronology is important.
and the law, like all these things that a Jew would hold on to as a means of justification and a way of excluding Gentiles. What he's saying is like God is creating the church, one new man, and his argument is much more elaborate than in Ephesians. It's in Ephesians chapter 2. It's just like bam, it's just hit you. It goes on for many chapters, and so he pulls from Abraham and he pulls from David as examples of people who were justified by faith apart from works.
Right.
This is before Abraham did anything, like any work associated with the law.
Right.
There's no law, but also before he was circumcised.
Yeah, this lays out a whole biblical theology for us. Abraham is given these promises, and the promise is to his offspring. And to his offspring will be blessings and the land. The fulfillment is Christ. The law is given as a tutor to keep the nation until the promise is fulfilled. So, using dispensational language, the law is almost like a parenthesis.
Right.
Here's the parentheses, because the promise supersedes the law. But it seems as if the majority of Abraham's physical descendants have put in all their faith in the law, and they've forgotten the promise.
Yes.
They've forgotten the faith of Abraham. The faith of Abraham is he's believing the word of Yahweh, and the New Testament shows that the word of Yahweh comes in the flesh.
Right.
And the true seed of Abraham are those who have the same faith as Abraham. Abraham believes the word of Yahweh. His true offspring will believe in the word of Yahweh also.
Right.
And the law was there to safeguard the nation of Israel, so that they didn't completely abandon everything. Right. But it never was meant to be the means by which they attain righteousness.
Right.
The means to obtain righteousness has always been by faith in the word of Yahweh. Right.
Yeah.
I like how Kevin DeYoung put it. I don't know if this is original to Kevin DeYoung or not, but he says faith is the instrument. It's like a straw. Like faith is the straw. The liquid is the righteousness. That's how you get the righteousness. Right. It's not the law. It's faith. It's always been faith.
Yeah. It's interesting how all the Romans in this, they're going back and forth. It would have been neat if you could have made it all the way through the story, but we'll interact with it. You have, when it comes to Isaac, what you have is something interesting. Like you have an answer to the questions coming in Romans 9. Why have God's promises failed? So we're talking about trusting in God's promises. That's the big question in 9. The Jews aren't saved for the most part. The majority, vast majority, have not believed. So how can a Gentile have any trust in God's promises if we look at the Jews and we see his promises to the Jews have failed? How do we have this security that he's promised going through the end of chapter 8, which are massive promises? And the answer is very interesting. As we're going to go through it, we're going to see that I think God answers it from 2 angles. Number one, you're going to see as we progress through 9, it takes us a second to get there, but he'll make the statement because they pursued it as though it were by works and not by faith.
Right.
So they're not trusting in God's promises. Yeah. They're trusting in their own works according to the law to justify. So there's a human answer. They did not pursue this by faith. But we get a bigger answer, which is God's promise does not rest on human working. It rests on election. And so in the birth of Isaac and the self, it's like a trying to step in and fulfill the promise for himself with the slave woman, right?
Right, yeah.
So you almost get there again, man's works and election.
Right.
So it's right. You can't avoid either, and that's what I want to urge people is because we'll be there in January. Right. My hope is that you would just let God's word speak. He answers it in two ways. From our human perspective, what do you need to worry about most? Are you pursuing this by faith?
Right.
But behind that, we get to peer behind the veil, is that God will fulfill his promises, even if all men are unfaithful. He's faithful, and he accomplishes it through election.
Right.
Individual election.
Uh-huh.
So it's amazing to see how it's so interconnected in the truths that come out. What people want to say, Paul created this theology. He didn't create it. Like he's just a master exegete.
He's just drawing it out of Genesis.
He's a master of the Old Testament.
Right.
He's just giving you insights.
And he's not a moralist. I think a lot of problems with people who reject election is that when they come to places in the Old Testament, like these stories, they turn it into moralistic lessons.
Uh-huh.
And so they miss the theological implications. They miss how the story is fitting together to fulfill the promises. They're like, well, be like this, don't be like this.
Right.
Right. Or here's 5 keys to a healthy marriage.
Right.
Don't marry your wife's slave woman.
Right. Right. Yes.
Yeah. And so they miss the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
But Paul's not doing that. He's drawing out from Genesis what God intended for us to draw out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and we get to see, this promise. It's neat to think about this. These promise made to Abraham. Paul got to see it starting to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
As all the nations began to come to the promised one, the promised seed of Abraham.
Right.
As the gospel was starting to explode and Christianity was starting to grow.
And the same faith that Abram has here is the same faith that we have.
Mm-hmm.
He believes the word of Yahweh. He believes the word of the Lord. He believes these promises, and God justifies him.
Right.
God counts to Abram righteousness.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the same. And Paul is very explicit in Romans chapter 4. It wasn't written he was counted righteous just for his sake, but for our sake also, because we're believing the same thing. And Romans 4 talks about how Abram is believing in the God who can bring life from the dead. Mm-hmm. That is Christian faith. That's the exact same thing that we're believing. We're believing in the God who brings life from the dead.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and it's going to become even more explicit as we get to Isaac and chapter 22 with the test. Abram is believing that even if the promised son dies, God is able to raise him from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
That is the same thing that every Christian for 2,000 years has been believing.
Yes, absolutely. Man, where is the passage I was looking for in John? It's such a neat...
I don't know. What are you looking for?
It's such a neat one. It's Jesus with the teachers of Israel, the Pharisees, and they're claiming Abraham as their father. Oh,
Chapter 8.
Here it is. Yeah. They answered him, Abraham is our father.
Right.
This is
Romans 9, right?
Yeah. That they're appealing to
biology.
Their biology.
Right.
And he says, no. He says, if you were Abraham's children, which Paul says we are Abraham's children, Jew and Gentile, who have the faith of Abraham.
Right.
Because if you were, you would do the works Abraham did, but you seek to kill me. So what's amazing about it is, like you said, the word of the Lord is Christ. Christ came to Abraham, speaking promises and truth. Right. But here we have the incarnation of the word.
Right.
He's speaking to the physical descendants of Abraham.
Yeah.
Promises.
Yeah, the word comes to Abraham in a vision.
Yeah.
The word of the Lord comes to Abraham's offspring in the flesh.
Yeah. And they won't believe him.
They don't believe him. Yeah.
And they seek to kill him.
Yep.
And he doesn't do a work. That's the thing that's behind it. You're meant to read in. What work did Abraham do? He didn't.
Yeah.
He believed the word of the Lord.
Right.
And so they have proven they're not Abraham's offspring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes on to say that Abraham saw my day
Yeah.
and he rejoiced.
Yeah.
I'm like, how? You're not even 50 years old. How you?
Right. Yeah.
Before Abraham was, I am.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew exactly what he was saying because they wanted to kill him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he's saying, I'm the God, I'm Yahweh who came and spoke to Abram.
Mm-hmm.
And Abram believed in me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's massive. I don't want to sympathize too much with the religious leaders, but you do have to kind of put yourself in their shoes and feel the shock of someone standing in front of you claiming to be Yahweh. That's pretty shocking.
Yeah, you do.
But that's why he demonstrated it.
Yeah.
By his works.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you don't believe my words, believe my works.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But they didn't.
Signs, wonders.
Yeah.
And the teaching.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seems everywhere Jesus taught, everyone had the same kind of impression. No one has ever taught like this.
Right.
And then when they try to challenge him, it's clear he knows the law better than anyone that's ever lived.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Abram believes Yahweh. He's believing in Yahweh. He's not just believing in some kind of ephemeral, force. He's believing in the person of Yahweh. He's believing in the person who's giving the promises. And God credits him as righteous. Mm-hmm. And this is what the New Testament calls justification.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Abram is justified by faith in God. Mm-hmm. Right. And I would say even more explicitly, he's justified by faith in Christ. Mm. He's just looking forward to the Christ to come.
Right.
We're looking back to what Christ has already done. But our faith is the same faith as Abram's. There's not two distinct faiths. He's believing in the word of the Lord, who is the pre-incarnate Son of God. We're believing in the word of the Lord, who's come in the flesh.
Yeah. Yeah. So that first question, do I trust God? Every person's got to answer that question for themselves. But even if you say, I do trust God, the next question you have to ask is God trustworthy? Am I trusting in a trustworthy person? And this is the second kind of interaction, the second of the two disputes. Mm-hmm. And so we see it starts in 7. I am the Lord who brought you out from Ur of the Chaldeans. And this section breaks down in a suzerain treaty form, right?
Yeah.
And that's a new thing for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But that's how it starts. It starts with this proclamation of like who the king is.
A historical prologue is what scholars usually call it.
And what he's done.
Right.
And that's verse 7. I'm the God who brought you out of Egypt.
Uh-huh. Exodus 20.
Yeah.
That's how it starts. Deuteronomy is structured like one of these treaties. Mm-hmm. It begins, the first couple of chapters is a historical prologue. Mm-hmm. Like, here's all the things that I've done. And so Moses starts from Egypt to the initial conquest in the land. Mm-hmm. Right. And so this is the beginning of a covenant. We should recognize in verse 7 something new is happening.
Yeah, there is an agreement that's about to be made and cut.
Yes,
we're about to cut a covenant.
Uh-huh.
This is like a formal binding agreement.
Yeah,
and we're going to see as we move through that. So kind of walk us through this text according to this format and show us how it answers the question, is God trustworthy?
Okay, so he gives this historical prologue. I brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land. And Abram says, how can I know? All right. So Abram here is still fearful. I said doubting a couple of times in the sermon. I should have been more careful, I think, with that. Like, he is still believing. But I think that it should be encouraging to us to see that faith is a struggle. Like, faith, we don't have to constantly have a smile on our face saying, all this is going to work out for good. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to have those moments of doubt and weakness. Like, faith is kind of a roller coaster. But faith, even when faith's at its lowest, Jesus said, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, right? So it's not the amount of faith that you have. It's who are you putting your faith in? That's what's important. Faith is only as strong as the object you're putting your faith in. And if you're putting your faith in one of those old blue pews at the back of our sanctuary, well, your faith may be disappointed. But if you're putting your faith in, a chair that looks like sturdy and made of oak and like it's held together, like that's a faith that is in an object that is not going to fail you. Well, Abram's putting his faith, even if it's small faith, he's putting his faith in Yahweh. And so if he's putting his faith in Yahweh, he can know that Yahweh is going to be trustworthy.
Yeah.
But he says, how can I know? How can I know? And instead of God chastising him or saying, well, you just got to believe. You just got to have more faith, Abram. You just got to believe harder. He doesn't do that. He doesn't rebuke him. He's very gracious. This is a very gracious thing for God to do. And so in verse 9, he says, bring me a heifer 3 years old, a goat 3 years old, a ram 3 years old, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. These are all animals that will later be used in Israel's sacrificial system. Like every single one of these are specific animals that Israel will be commanded to bring to the tabernacle. And we should get that. Like, don't think these are random animals. So I think Abram is picking up something's going on. So he brings them. This is an act of faith, and he cuts them in half. And we don't want to think about this as he cuts them, like where there's a top half and a bottom half.
Right.
Like he's not splitting them that way. He would have cut them like down the middle, so that there's two even halves. So the cow would have been cut from head to tail and laid side to side. Right. Same with the goat, same with the ram. The birds, probably because of their size, that they weren't cut in the tabernacle, in the sacrificial system. Their heads were wrung off. Right? So Abram does this. He cuts them in two. He lays each half over against each other. Doesn't cut the birds in half. And this is where it gets weird, right? Because this is not something that we do nowadays. But we still have the language of like cutting a deal.
Right.
Like, cutting a deal? What are we talking about? Like there's this language of a covenant. Even in verse 18, when it says that Yahweh made a covenant with Abram, the word made is actually the word karat. He cuts a covenant. So what's going on is in these suzerain treaties, the great king would have entered into a covenant with his vassal states, like the lesser kings. We saw this in chapter 14. I think maybe part of the reason why we have this narrative in chapter 14 with Chedorlaomer and these other kings is to kind of remind us of a suzerain treaty, because Chedorlaomer is the great king, and these the other kings of the east, the kings of the plain, they're his vassal states. So they would have entered into this covenant. That may be why Chedorlaomer comes and attacks them. It's like you've broken this covenant, so I'm going to do to you what you did to the animals.
Right.
The vassal states would have entered into this covenant. The great king would have sworn an oath: I will protect you from your enemies. I'll defend you. In return, you'll fight in my wars. You'll send me tribute. You'll obey me. Right. In chapter 14, the kings of the plain, Sodom and Gomorrah, and those towns, they broke the covenant. So Chedorlaomer comes over and he defeats them. They would have cut these animals in two and created like this bloody path. I mean, this is gory. I was thinking about it today. I was like, this would have been just absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
I mean, the scene would have just been absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
But what they would have done is that the parties of the covenant would have walked between the pieces, and they would have pronounced what scholars usually call a self-maledictory oath.
Both the king and the subject.
Yes.
The lesser in the agreement.
Right. And they would have said, may the same thing be done to me if I don't keep the covenant. So if I fail to send tribute or to obey my liege lord, or if Chedorlaomer failed to protect his vassal states, may I be cut in two. May I be split open. The best illustration we have is found in Jeremiah 34, where God tells the leaders of Israel who have entered into this covenant to release all their slaves, to keep the Jubilee. Like, they haven't been keeping it. So they make a covenant, they cut a covenant that they're going to release all their slaves. But then they're like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. And so Yahweh tells them, I'm going to make you like the pieces of the animal that you walked between. Like, he references this covenant cutting ceremony. What Yahweh's saying is, I'm going to split you down the middle, right? So we got this. This is not a light ceremony. This isn't like a contractual agreement that you can just get out of, right? And this is for life.
The covenant carries a death curse.
Yeah. And so Abram cuts these. And then we have this weird verse in verse 11, when the birds of prey came down on the carcasses, Abram drove them away. And there has been endless speculation on that verse.
Yeah.
As you can imagine. As someone who has read theological articles, you probably can imagine how many articles have been written on this verse. One suggestion is that this is all like visionary. So it's highly symbolic. And so verse 11, the birds of prey are symbolic of the Canaanite nations that are going to swoop into the promised land, and they're going to become an obstacle for Israel. But Abram drives them away. I think it's a lot easier to just say Abram's just cut a bunch of animals in two, and the vultures are going to come and try to eat it.
Right.
I just think that's easier. That it's not so much symbolic. I mean, there's symbolism because it's highlighting the death curse. Julia, when we were talking at lunch yesterday, she said that it reminded her of Revelation 19,
right,
with the
great feast of the birds.
The kings of the earth being eaten by birds. It just highlights, this is what happens to covenant breakers. You will be carcasses that the birds will eat. I think Abram chasing them away is simply him recognizing that this is a covenant. Like, he knows what's happening. And so he chases the birds away. He doesn't let them just come down like, this is silly. Like, he knows this is serious. And so he chases the birds away. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's maybe just similar to, like, people trying to speculate on Nicodemus coming at night.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, look, he comes at night because night is a reflection of his soul. He still walks in darkness. He hasn't trusted in Christ.
Yeah.
But in reality, he just probably came at night. And that's why it was recorded he came at night.
Yeah.
And maybe you could say he came at night because he didn't want to be seen going to Jesus.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But he's just recording what happened.
But yeah, he comes at night.
He came at night.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're not meant to read more.
That's when Jesus is free.
Yeah.
He's not being hounded by everybody.
This means Jesus was a night person. Like, people come up with all kinds of crazy explanations,
right. Yeah. I think it just highlights that Abram has cut these animals in two. Like, it's bloody, it's gory. There's entrails. And this is what happens to covenant breakers.
Yeah.
And Abram recognizes it.
Yeah.
I think him chasing them away just shows he knows what's coming.
Right. Yeah. And but what's interesting here in this, and it is often overlooked. So if you have overlooked it, don't feel bad about it, because this is like a unilateral covenant.
Yeah.
Only one person is going to go through these dead animals.
Yeah. So, Moses does a great job of setting the scene for us. Sun's going down. A deep darkness falls over Abram, and it's a dreadful and great darkness, and Abram falls asleep. This is prophetic language. Like, here is the prophet. He falls into a sleep, and he's going to see a vision. And the last time we saw someone fall into a deep sleep was Genesis 2, when God puts Adam to sleep in order to take a rib out of his side and create Eve. Like this, which is another covenant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Marriage covenant. So big, like something big is going to happen. We should be anticipating this. The deep darkness, it reminds us of Mount Sinai. Like, this whole thing is anticipating Sinai. The historic prologue, the sacrificial animals, now this great darkness. It's all meant to Moses is writing this to Israel in the wilderness. They've already been at Sinai. They should recognize this. Mm-hmm. So we have to do the work and say, this is reminding the people of Israel of Sinai, where this darkness descends on the mountain as Yahweh descends.
Which they all saw.
Which they saw, yeah. And then Yahweh speaks to Abram, and he says, know for certain that your offspring are going to be slaves in a foreign land for 400 years. This is slavery. This is Egyptian slavery, right? And then in the fourth generation, they will come out of the land into the promised land that I'll give to them, right? Because the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete.
Mm-hmm.
So in this, we have Abram he's receiving revelation of future events. There's so much going on here. Abram is not going to see the fulfillment of the promises. At 400 years, he's going to be gone. Isaac's going to be gone. Jacob's going to be gone. 3 generations of Israelites enslaved are not going to see the promises fulfilled. God's timing is not our timing. Mm-hmm. And that's a good reminder for us, because so often we want to like put God into our time frame. God's timing is perfect. And in that time period, there's going to be slavery and suffering and exile. I mean, they're going to be outside the land. There's going to be death. All part of God's plan. That's dreadful. That's why there's this dreadful darkness. Like, darkness is like a weight. But also comfort, because this is, we would look at slavery, pain and sorrow and death as obstacles that would make us question the promises. But what God is telling Abram is that these are actually part of my plan. And that's Romans 8, I think. None of these things are going to separate us from the love of God. That's not New Testament revelation. It's Genesis revelation, right?
Yeah.
But then God's purposes, though they're centered on God's people, they also involve the nations. And so he says the reason for this is that the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete. And the Amorites is probably a catch-all for all the people of Canaan. In the last couple of verses, we have 10 nations named, which is a number of completeness. It's all the Canaanites, right? Their iniquity is not yet complete, and that's a pretty amazing verse in itself. Mm-hmm. 400 years, God's going to give the Amorites. Mm-hmm. He's going to give the Canaanite people 400 years. And what we know from places like Numbers is that the Canaanites are violent. They are sexually immoral to like a degree that we may not even know here in our country. Mm-hmm. Probably cannibals. At least some of them are. The spies say that they devour the land. And there's speculation that means that they eat each other. They're idol worshipers. Like, they're the worst of the worst.
Sacrifice children.
Human sacrifices, yeah. Which is part of their idolatry. They're sacrificing them to their gods. God gives them 400 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that answers kind of a big apologetic question that skeptics often raise about the conquest. Is this genocide? We should be reminded of who these people are. Like, these are not good people.
Right.
Like, these are not nice people. These are pretty wicked people.
Right.
And God gives them 400 years. 400 years is a long time.
And I would say he even gives them a big warning, because
Sodom and Gomorrah is a big warning to them.
Well, and what happens to Egypt?
Right.
Right. God's name will be made great.
Right.
Through that. So Rahab has heeded the warning.
Yeah, we see that the Canaanites who repent and trust in Yahweh, they don't die.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But 400 years, that's a long time for God to be patient with wicked people.
Yeah.
But it also reminds us that God judges nations, and he uses outside nations to do it.
Right.
And so Israel is going to be God's justice.
Yeah.
Like, we might, from a human standpoint, be like, that's genocide. God says that's justice. Like, this is what they deserve.
Yeah. Well, what if your whole clan got wiped out and eaten?
Right.
Justice is coming.
Yeah. Like, God punishes wicked nations. And that should be a warning for us in America. I mean, we haven't had 400 years yet, but we're a wicked nation.
Yeah.
God could judge us anytime he wants, with any outside nation that he wants to. But he's still patient. He's still a long-suffering God.
Right. Yeah.
But this is all in God's timing. So Abram is receiving these visions of the future as comfort for himself, but Moses is also writing this to the people of Israel, and it's a reminder. It's like Moses is saying, look, slavery, the wilderness, none of this is accidental. None of this is has caught God off guard. This is all part of the plan. He's got to bring you into the land. Like, they should have recognized this prophecy given to Abram. And when they sent the spies into the land and they came back and said, "Oh, we saw giants," I should have been like, "Let's go get them."
Yeah.
Because God said after this period of enslavement, we'll go into the land. It's all happened according to God's word. Let's go in. Instead, they don't believe. Right. But now comes the actual covenant cutting in verse 17. When the sun had gone down and it was dark. And remember, this is super dark.
Yeah.
Right? Behold, a smoking fire pot and a flaming torch passed between these pieces. So Abram is seeing these torn, bloody, gory pieces of animal. And between them goes this flaming pot and this torch. And this, again, is supposed to remind us of what's going to come. We got Sinai language. We have Exodus language. This reminds us of the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud that leads Israel out of Egypt. Well, who's in those? Who's in the pillar?
You're right. Angel of the Lord.
Angel of the Lord, right? Who's the angel of the Lord?
Christ.
That's Christ. I think, this is my contention, that we're not supposed to read this like it's, Beauty and the Beast and you got the dancing utensils and plates. I think that Abram sees these things being carried through the pieces, but it's so dark that he doesn't see who's carrying them. But the same person who's going to be in the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud is the same one who is walking through these pieces, carrying this smoking pot and this flaming torch. I think it's the Son of God. And like you said, this is very important. Abram's over there asleep. Abram's not walking through the pieces. Yahweh is walking through the pieces. He's walking through it for both parties. Like, he's the only one who walks through it.
Right.
So he is walking through the pieces on behalf of Yahweh. He's also walking through the pieces on behalf of Abram and his offspring. And so in this, we should see, we should remember what this is all symbolizing, this self-maledictory oath, like this death curse. God is essentially saying, if I fail to keep these promises to Abram and his offspring, let me be torn apart. That's a massive statement.
Mm-hmm.
May God be torn in two. We know that that's impossible. And so this is rock solid confidence that we can have that God is going to fulfill all of his promises. But as he walks through the pieces on behalf of Abram and his offspring, and we've got all this language of Sinai, we should be reminded that Abram and his offspring, they're going to be covenant breakers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, while they're at Mount Sinai, they're going to break the covenant and worship a golden calf. Well, what do they deserve? To be torn in two, right? To be cut in two. But who walks between the pieces?
Right. Yeah.
The Son of God,
Mm-hmm.
right? As he walks through it, he's saying, even if I have to die, I'm going to keep these promises.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what happens.
Right.
Right. In this is the death sentence for Jesus.
Right.
Like he is here prophesying the cross.
Mm.
And so when we read this, we should also have in mind the cross.
Yeah.
That just as the Son of God walked through these pieces for covenant breakers, he keeps it. He keeps the covenant.
Yeah.
And we deserve to be torn in two. But the Son of God who walked through the pieces for us, he's torn in two for us.
Yeah.
His death on the cross, this violent, gory event, is where where the death curse falls on him for Abram and his offspring who are helpless.
Do you remember where you were the first time you pieced this together? I can remember it. It was in my Old Testament 1 class. Yeah. I was at Panera Bread.
Okay. All right.
In Liberty, I guess, technically, Missouri, I believe. I used to go there because I'd have like a 3-hour break between classes. And so it's like unlimited refillable coffee.
Okay.
So I go in there, buy coffee, and I'd drink like 5 cups of it. And yeah, just mind blown sitting there and realizing like this is God prophesying what he will do in the cross.
Right.
That he will uphold this covenant.
Yeah.
Even when we don't. Even if it costs him his son.
Right.
To do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mind blown. Yeah. Mind blown. So everybody's mind should have been blown yesterday is what I'm saying.
And I'm going a step further, and we're going to be careful. We don't want to divide we don't want to divide the persons of the Trinity, but we distinguish them. And I'm saying that it's the word of Yahweh that's walking through the pieces. Like it is the Son of God who is taking on this self-maledictory oath. He's the one who will die. It's the second person of the Trinity who will become incarnate.
Yeah, amazing.
And die on a cross. And it's all here. And Abram believes. Like he doesn't know the specifics. He doesn't know that the Son of God's going to be incarnate and die on a cross, but he does know that his offspring, something's happening here, and he knows that he's not walking between the pieces. So we don't know exactly all the details that he knows, but we know that he knows, I think, more than we often give him credit for. Like he sees this, and he's not dumb. I think he understands that God is going to do something that is going to require the death curse.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing.
It is. Yeah.
It really is.
And that answers the question. Is God trustworthy? Absolutely.
Well, he's just sworn by himself.
Yeah.
There's nothing greater to swear by. And he's made this swearing in such a way where you could say, can God die?
Right.
No. It's an impossibility.
Right.
So can this covenant be broken by God?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's an impossibility.
Yeah. So Abram's offspring will be as numerous as the stars of the sky, and they will inherit the land.
Right.
And Hebrews informs us Abram's not looking for just this little piece of land. He's looking for a city whose builder is God. He's looking for he's looking to inherit the world. And so this brings us into these new covenant promises that will all be realized perfectly in Christ, and they have to be because the blood of the covenant requires it.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, next week we're taking a break from.
Take a little bit of a break. Yeah, we're gonna start in Genesis 15, but we'll be jumping around some. We're gonna look at Christ in the Old Testament. And we've already hinted at it all over the place here. And we'll look at that. But 2022 we had the Christ-Centered Churches Conference on the Trinity here in November. Mm-hmm. And my sermon was on the Trinity in the Old Testament to show that the Trinity is more explicit than we often give it credit.
Right. Yeah.
We're gonna hit on that some. We'll hit on the Trinity in the Old Testament, but we're gonna really highlight the second person, not just as a prophesied person in the Old Testament, but he's actually in the Old Testament. Okay. We see it here in chapter 15, but we'll expand out from there and see where the second person of the Trinity is not just spoken of, but he actually is present and he's active and he's speaking to his people. And I want to help people who maybe have never understood this before.
Yeah.
I mean, we're coming into a new year. People are going to be starting new Bible reading plans, starting in Genesis. And as they're doing that, I want them to see that Jesus is actually a main character in the Old Testament.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be great. I know I'm looking forward to it. Yep. Hope people are. So make sure you go back and listen to this sermon. It was a great sermon. And next week, too, make sure you listen to that sermon. We just talk about it on here and kind of add a little more detail, maybe a little more application, things like that. So make sure you come back and you check that out. So thanks for listening today. Hopefully it's been a blessing. That's our goal, that this would help you to be more like Christ, not just give you a bunch of information, but actually impact the way you actually live out your Christian life. So if this is helpful, please like, subscribe, and maybe share us with a friend. Come back. We'll see you next week. Till then, God bless.